Hi, I'm Tina Fike. I'm the owner of Feel Good Fitness here in mid-Missouri, and I have been on the pursuit for local eating. I am sick and tired of having to read labels and figure out what the heck is in the crap that I'm putting in my body, and it's so much easier to eat locally and know that what you're putting in your body is natural, grass-fed, not pumped with hormones and chemicals and all this other crap you have to be afraid of when you're searching for healthy foods in the grocery store. And given this isn't always possible or convenient for most people, but it's something that I'm very passionate about and have been in the pursuit of for quite a while, and I have finally started to develop a network in order to accomplish this in mid-Missouri, and I want to do a series of videos showing as many people as possible how you can go about this and the kinds of people that you need to reach out to. It takes a little bit of work and a little bit of networking, but it is so worth it to be able to know everything that went into the food that you're eating. It's so much healthier. It helps to balance your hormones. It's just incredible. And then this first video is about milk. Anyone who knows me knows that I haven't been able to drink store-bought milk for years. It makes me sick. It brings my energy down. I'm not allergic to it. I'm not lactose intolerant. But it brings my energy way down and makes me feel dragged on a day-to-day basis. And anyone who is a part of my fitness programs knows that I tend to promote either going dairy-free or switching over to almond milk or coconut milk or anything other than store-bought milk because it turns your hormones into crap. But I was able to get my hands on raw milk for the first time ever a couple weeks ago, and I can drink milk again. It's absolutely amazing. It tastes honestly no different, but it is so much healthier and is such an incredible thing to be able to have access to, even though it can be difficult to find at times because of local regulations and different things. So I decided to make this video. The guy who helped me make it is an absolutely incredible guy. He is very knowledgeable and just a nice guy, loves what he does, and is very passionate about helping others. And so, we meshed right up. So enjoy the video. I hope you learn a lot because I sure did. This information is absolutely invaluable. And please, if you ever have the chance to switch over to raw milk, please do it because it has definitely been a life-changing experience for me.
For it is actually getting on a cow and learning. No, my hand isn't actually touching the flow of milk. All I'm doing is touching the. I used to wear gloves when I did everything, but I realized that it was affecting how I could actually feel the cow, and it wasn't any fun. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just do it like this, and as long as I keep my hands clean,
Yeah.
and I don't have any gross chunks of anything falling off, we're sitting pretty. Right now, she's got the initial letdown going, and then what I'll do is give her a little bit of grain, and that'll get that secondary letdown.
What does that mean, letdown?
She's letting down because she's under pressure right now, and there's a window of opportunity in that letdown
To get the milk out?
To get the milk out.
Okay.
There will still be milk in her by the time we reach that point. And so I'm going to go ahead and give her a little bit of grain after a while. And then I can, you notice the amount here. It's like a littler squirt when I give her the grain, and that letdown actually occurs.
And it comes back up?
You'll see a difference in the overall flow. Freya, the black cow out there, she's a Holstein Friesian, and she has a huge amount of milk when she's freshened with a calf.
That's really cool.
If you'd like, you could drag a chair.
Yeah.
Either the small chairs. When I first started milking, I really worked it hard, and I almost got like a carpal tunnel syndrome on my hands.
Yeah.
Because I was just squeezing like crazy and working it like crazy. And I discovered if you take more of a woman's touch on it, the cow likes it. You don't hurt your arms. It's easier.
Huh.
Let's switch to the other side here.
Can you kind of explain the benefits of raw milk as opposed to, the grocery store milk?
Well, I haven't done any actual research on it myself like they've done. I've got a few books that talk about it. Raw milk, obviously what we have right here, coming right out of the cow right now, is about as fresh as you can get. And it has enzymes in it. It has proteins. It has a lot of really good things that your body needs, that a calf would need.
Yeah.
That people who have the ability to digest milk need.
So you were saying earlier the calves will die if you drain them while they're finishing their growing process before
Right.
they actually are
Before they're
born.
actually born, if you were to milk the cow completely through that time, the thing that would come out would be sickly and weak and not doing good. It tells you what's in the milk. I mean, what it does. It gives life. But if you were to take this milk and put it on the stove at 165 degrees for 13 minutes or whatever it is for pasteurization, you would pasteurize it, and that would create a lack of any enzymes. Your body has a finite resource when it comes to enzymes. It can take every time you eat processed food, it uses up some of your stock of enzymes. So if you eat live food that has its own enzymes, like good vegetables or milk or things that haven't been overly processed, your body can eat those without any loss to what it has. I'm going to go ahead and give her the grain now to get the big letdown.
And I actually have another client whose son is, I don't remember if he's actually lactose or just very milk sensitive, but since they've started drinking the raw milk, her son can drink regular milk again.
There's one of my milk customers has a lactose intolerance and loves ice cream. Absolutely loves ice cream.
That's me.
And he would get a really bad reaction to the ice cream, but he loved it so much he just put up the reaction.
Yeah.
And then he started taking the lactate tablets and all the goodies like that, and then he took my milk and he poured a little bit over the ice cream, and he ate the ice cream, and he had no problem. So I was like, that's pretty wild.
That's awesome. But he still ate the regular ice cream. He just poured some of your milk over top of it?
Right, exactly. So
That's really interesting.
And then he started making ice cream out of my milk. So it was like, he finally went all the way to, you see the amount of flow we're getting here now.
Yeah.
When she lets down with the, early on, back when she first gave birth, it was like this all the way through. I mean, she just exploded.
Like right after she gave birth or before?
No. I mean, the first milk afterward, it's actually pretty healthy for you. It's got a lot of colostrum in it, just like a human. And
What's colostrum?
Colostrum is a antibiotic. It's a probiotic. Antibiotic means it kills things. Probiotic, it helps you build up your immunities. So the calf needs that desperately. And so we would take the colostrum off her, which is like a heavy cream, and then we put it in the bottle and give it to the calf. And we reserved a little bit of a side because there were some people who had requested the colostrum, and they'd pour it into ice cube trays, and then whenever they started feeling poorly, they'd have one, and it was kind of like a vitamin shot or something like that. So
I've never heard that. That's really
the more you hang around, you discover all kinds of things. There was a nurse who was talking to my wife, a former nurse. She was a nurse back in the day, and she was saying the way they treated some diseases that were untreatable is they would take a syringe, and I'm not sure if they worked right up the teat canal or whether they injected it into the udder, but they'd take a sample of the blood of the person who had whatever disease, and they would inject it into a quadrant, and that would
a quadrant.
There's 4 quadrants here of the of the udder, and that would put all the good stuff right where it needed to be. that quadrant, if the person drank the milk from that quadrant, it would have the cure for the for whatever disease was there, which I thought was pretty amazing and cool.
Yeah. What kinds of diseases?
Like Lyme disease is not not easily treatable. And that's one way people have done that. I'm not sure what all diseases.
Probably some of the more immune.
I never spoke to the lady myself, but I did speak to my wife, who spoke to her.
Well, most places now they do the machine milking, right?
Right, they do, which means...
And that gives it kind of a tinny taste. Was that what I was...
It's a little bit of a chemical taste. It's going through a silicone pipe. What it encounters in our operation is stainless steel, glass, and butter muslin, cheesecloth, to strain out any stray hairs or anything that fall into it. The occasional fly. So it strains all that out, and you don't have to worry about it making a mess. But you also don't have to worry about it running through a big plastic line or anything like that.
Because at most milk farms, all of the milk from all of the cows go into a big vat, and then the machines come around, take all of that, so all the milk gets mixed together and travels a couple weeks, and then gets jugged filled with.
Then it gets pasteurized. Then it gets jugged.
Okay.
And all
the good stuff gets cooked out.
Yeah, all the good stuff gets cooked out and leaves the junk there for you. I used to milk in little bitty bowls because I was worried about them kicking, and so I'd be able to pull the bowl out of the way real fast. And I'm so glad I actually went to the stainless steel bucket. I'm thinking about jumping up to the 2-gallon size now.
A little less work in between.
Well, she's very stable. I mean, she broadcasts if she's going to move that leg, and she really doesn't do anything evil with it. So, all right, we're set. I do tie her tail out of the way.
Yeah, I noticed that. To keep the extra hair from sitting in there, or
there's a few flies on her coat, very few.
She doesn't whack you in the face.
She'll knock me in the face. It's no fun. Some dairies actually cut the tail off. You know, they leave about 4 inches of it, and they lop it off. You know, I don't.
That seems kind of mean.
I guess it stops them from having the backside product slammed around all over the cow, which in a good spring grass they get real runny, and they don't always hike the tail up enough compared to the flow coming out, and so it splatters it all over the cow, and you got to scrape it all off. And if it's a wet day and they've done that, it takes a long time to clean them. It takes ages on a you know, we got such dry weather out there now. Here it is, a little bit past mid-May, and it looks like August out there. It's dry. It's nasty. It's not a fun time. But they're still producing gobs of milk, or at least she is. We're drying the other two off, and
because they're about to give birth to calves.
Well, it's actually going to be about September, 2 months before, drying off 2 months before would work. But I'm actually going on a trip to Colorado to go see a cousin's wedding, and so I wanted to not dump a whole slew of cows on another person to milk when I was gone.
Yeah.
There's a friend up the road who's probably going to take Bessie here, and the other two should be stabilized by the time that we're heading out. So they'll be able to work out.
Because you spend time before just grooming her, making sure all of the dirt is off of her, so she's really clean.
Well, I mean, you can't get it all.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you had a high-pressure wash system, like a car wash that you take them through, all kinds of scrubbing brushes and everything, then you could get it all. But if you did that, they'd undoubtedly unleash and make another mess.
Could you explain the process that you go through to clean the udders before you actually start milking?
the very first step is to take a dry brush, like a nylon bristle brush, not terribly stout brush, you know, it'll bend easy, and then just rub back and forth around the area to clean her out. Clean out the little bits of dry dirt or poo or whatever happens to be on her. And at that juncture, you can knock it all off when it's dry. If it's wet, you knock off the chunks that are capable of knocking off, and then you get the water jugs out, the soap and water jugs.
Yeah.
And then you clean and clean and clean and clean and clean. That's why when it's a rainy day, I bring gobs of towels and gobs of water and pray that they've actually been out in the rain and washed themselves clean.
Yeah.
Prior to me getting there. But it's amazing. If it's raining, this area here actually stays relatively dry, unless it's like a driving rain from the side. And so you still can, even if they're wet as anything, you can still encounter a dry udder. Kind of amazing. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm massaging the upper bag to get it out of there. I'm not squeezing terribly hard. I'm just guiding the milk. I'm kind of massaging around to guide the milk down to the teat. And it speeds up the process when she gets down to that last level. The last bit of milk that comes out of the cow, it's called the strippings, and that's the heaviest of cream. The very first milk that comes out is really light on the cream, and the back is real heavy. So this jar here will have a much better cream content if we had the time to actually sit them there and let the cream percolate.
I'm going to do a
out.
video of that.
Okay.
Once the cream actually gets to the top and we make the butter.
Awesome.
If you have more cream, I'm guessing that means you'll get more butter out of that.
Right.
That batch.
Yep. Richard and April told you about making butter. They showed you, I think, when I was there.
Yeah.
Everybody does it differently.
I ended up doing it with my blender.
that works too. I've done that with we started out doing it with the mixing bowl and mixing, and it makes a mess.
Because I tried shaking, I tried really hard, and after a couple of probably 10 minutes, I was like, all right, this isn't working.
It's a workout, Tina.
The darn shake weights.
Yeah.
Got on Google and looked up, videos, and I found somebody that did it with a blender and put it on low for a couple minutes, and there was my butter.
Well, you'd actually done most of the work already.
Yeah.
By doing the shaking. Was it warm when you started?
I let it sit till it got to room temperature, and then I shook, and maybe I just got impatient. Maybe I didn't shake it as long as I thought I did.
It's a different beast. My kids, they were weak when they started, but we've been making so much butter. They're strong now.
It's awesome.
But we let it. I didn't go till complete room temperature on most of the butter that I made out. I went till the jar stopped sweating, which is probably close to it, but I don't know. It worked out pretty good. And then I'd shake it for about 2-3 minutes. Then I'd set it down, and it'll form a secondary cream line. It'll look like all cream when you start out, and then you'll see like a white below and the cream above.
Yeah.
And just let it sit there for a while. Go fold clothes or do whatever, and you'll
in the main jar. In the jar, it's like the big jar, or after you've
jar, like a quart-sized jar.
After you've scooped out the cream and it's sitting by itself.
After you've shaken it that initial
yeah.
time. And
yum.
Yum. all that foam you see on the top there, that's going to settle down.
Cream.
And it's not really cream. It's actually just it's milk and cream and whatever. But you can see this little line forming right here, where the milk is, and then the foam takes over from that point. So when I'm capping off this jar, this isn't the final jar. This is just the.
I can already see a line.
Yeah, that's the foam, and so this will percolate down, and this jar won't be full in the end. So when I run it through all the strainers, that'll be the way I get it.
So if you were to leave all the cream in there, whip it up, would that be considered whole milk?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, leaving all that cream on is that is whole milk. That is without any added vitamin D or any junk like that they they try to make it look like it's doing something good for you. Yeah, you've taken everything else out and you've thrown colorings in to make it look like milk again.
Cooked all the enzymes and good stuff out.
And good stuff, and now we're going to throw vitamin D and fortified with vitamin D.
What does that mean, fortified?
I think vitamin D is actually a hormone.
Yeah, it is.
And so they're putting a hormone in there and saying, here, drink this.
No wonder our hormones are all out of whack.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you skim the cream off the top and you make your butter out of that, what are you left with? Would that be around the range of like 1-2% milk, or?
Well, I don't know exactly, because when you let the milk age, when you roll through its area, there's butterfat throughout the milk.
Yeah.
The cream that rises gives you an idea of a certain type of butterfat, but there's butterfat throughout the whole thing. And Jerseys, they have one of the highest butterfats out there. It'll be 5% cream in their milk versus the whole
butter
thing.
is delicious.
Yeah.
I finished the whole thing in a week. I usually don't eat much butter.
Really?
It was delicious.
Oh, it
Put it on toast, crackers.
It was kind of funny the other day. My daughter works at Colton Steakhouse, and we were going to go in and have dinner there, and I had a jar of cream on the counter. I was like, here, guys. I passed it back in the back seat and I said, take turns shaking it. And so we had butter by the time we got to town, and I just walked in there and said, can I get another glass, please? And nothing in it, please. So I poured off the milk, and it filled the glass off half a quart of the cream. And so that was your milk taken out of it, and then there was that butter left. And of course, when you first shake up the butter, it's nice and soft. It's not in the refrigerator and hard, and so it was soft. I took that jar of honey they have at the table, and spread it over it, and whipped it up in there real quick, and it was
honey butter.
It was delicious. It was awesome.
What is it? I think Outback Steakhouse. They have you ever been to Outback Steakhouse?
Yeah, but it's been forever ago.
They have this honey butter that they bring out with their bread. It is to die for good. I'll have to try that with this next batch. Try to make honey butter. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Well, the waiter for our table actually was like, I got to try some of that. And so they made a pile of butter, and it was more than we could eat at the table. I was like, oh, here you go. And so he shared it with the owner too.
That's cool.
He reported to my daughter. That was pretty cool, and he needs to get a milk cow.
So I just put a little salt in it, and it was still it's delicious.
Well, when you squeeze out all the milk solids, the whey, it makes the butter last longer too. And Rebecca's actually pretty good at taking a wooden paddle and pressing all that out real well. Me, I take
I'm gonna try and
hands.
get a video of her doing that because she's so good at it.
I just take my hands and I squeeze it out. And
I did the same thing.
And that works pretty well because you can really mash it really thin and then just fold it and work the edges and get everything out of it and set that in a bowl. And when Rebecca comes home, she takes the paddles and works out the rest, and that is ideal. It's so tasty.
I'm gonna have to watch her do that.
It lasts longer versus being if you leave all the white in there, it'll take on a slightly rancid, not bad rancid, but slightly rancid flavor, which the old timers, that's the way they loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, matter of fact, instead of drinking the milk like that, they would let it clabber, and they did it with a spoon.
After your other two give birth, when will they be ready to milk again after they have their calves?
Instantaneously.
Sort of from New York, like what happens in New York?
Oh, back in
Because we're talking about the big dairy
1800s
operations and
1800s
why
or
raw
so
milk
in
is
New York.
illegal.
They would actually have whiskey distilleries that once they pulled the whiskey, that product off, they would say, well, what are we going to do with the remainder? Just like a lot of the companies, you know, asphalt was a waste product of the oil companies. And then they finally said, hey, we can charge people out the wazoo for the asphalt. And that's what they wanted to do. So they take this swill and they'd give it to the cows to eat. Oh, it's grain. It's got part of the grain still left in it. Let's give it to the cows. And the cows would actually give milk that was blue, and it would make people very ill. And it was
They were feeding them
sad.
whiskey.
Well,
Or like the remains of...
The cow was being poisoned, because that's poison for a cow. And so they'd only live a short amount of time. And they would sell this milk to people out there, and the people would start getting sick and dying.
And why did they start giving them this that kind of feed? Was it just to increase milk production, or just because it was cheap, a cheap way to feed them?
Available. It was going to be a waste product otherwise. And they said, oh, let's take this waste product and go ahead and give it to cows. You know, whatever it takes to produce. And
then that's going to be in the milk.
That's going to be
that they produce.
And then your kids are going to drink that milk, and they don't have access to it. In a city, they can't start their own lot and have a cow out there. They can't do that. That doesn't work for them. You know, they don't have time. In the city, you have to go to your job, you got to do your things, and so it got started there, and then they were still making money on it, even though they were having to add chalk to it to return the white color and pasteurize it like crazy, because these cows were just chock full of junk.
And when was this? This was
early 1800s. I'm not sure exactly when. I wasn't alive then. But
a long time ago.
A long time ago, and it continued and continued and continued. But then when you have your operations today, the big confinement dairy operations, that the cow doesn't get to go outside. It might be in a stall or a little stanchion about the size that I have her in here, and it spends its whole life there. It gets to stand up, sit down, and lay down, and then get to eat whatever you want to feed it.
Probably whatever's cheapest.
Whatever's cheapest, exactly.
Do you think they leave it in the stalls because of availability of land, or just convenience?
Convenience. If they're going to milk them 3 times a day, and they're going to feed them exactly a certain diet, they might give them a lot of good stuff there. You know, there might be some good stuff in there, but the end result is that you have some stuff that might not be as good. Like when I was talking earlier about the calves, as the ones who were born in the confinement operation, they would be raised not on the milk coming from a cow, because that would go to the humans, and that's a sellable product. But they would be given the blood of the slaughtered cows to grow on, and that's sad.
It's gross.
It's gross.
Yeah,
exactly. That doesn't happen in nature. I mean,
no.
They're not vampire bats. They're not mosquitoes. They're calves. They do something different.
And would that be at facilities where they're both slaughtering and milking?
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly if they did it in that same facility. I would think that they would actually do it.
Well, like the same operation.
Bring that product back, and you know, because they work it together to have the whole thing a closed loop of use. But I don't know how well it would work to try to milk a cow while you're butchering one next door.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd work. I play the radio, but still, I mean, you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to.
When they're tensed, is it harder to get the milk to drop?
Yeah, they'll dry up. I'm not dry up, but they'll say, you're not getting any more. It's over. This party is over.
In a confinement facility like that, I would imagine it's really hard to get them to calm down. Do you think they use tranquilizers, or?
I think they lose their spirit early, and that kills them.
Okay.
You know, if you don't want to live, there's no joy in it, you die. If you're in a jail cell and you don't have something to look forward to, that you're just going to be there the rest of the time, you'd probably just die. I mean, or you've seen some shuffling hulks that used to be people that you know, they get released after 40 years in some Russian gulag or Chinese prison. They don't even remember why they're there in the first place, and they're released and they shuffle around and drool on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing left. It's just sad.
You said the average life expectancy right now is 48 months?
48 months for a cow in a confinement dairy.
Jeez. How old is Bessie?
I think she's 3. So.
Beating the odds.
and looking pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the one at the gate there. That's Freya, and she's a little bit younger.
Hi,
but
Freya.
she's a much bigger cow.
Yeah. She a different kind of cow?
Different kind, yeah.
Because Bessie's a Jersey cow?
Jersey. I'm not sure if she's completely Jersey. She might have Jersey, brown Swiss
Yeah.
mix in her, because she's bigger than Creamy, who probably should be coming around the corner there sometime too. But
April
Freya,
and Ridge have their Jersey cow, their pet.
that came out of Creamy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. She was born in May, so we went with Maybell. And they just stuck with the name. They liked it. So.
Oh, I think they're all hearing my dog.
Oh.
He's probably never seen a cow.
You might want to go protect your vehicle.
I'm going to go do that.
Throw her cream forward.
I love
keep
it.
her soft and happy. And
Before you started milking, you actually used a like dish soap and water
dish up and water. Yeah.
to
Exactly.
disinfect the udders and
Well, to just
and clean everything
clean
up.
everything. That way,
Yeah.
as my hand's working on there, it's not going to knock anything down. And
Yeah.
When you're milking, occasionally the milk might touch your hand, and you know, just not real often, but you know, one little bit of hitting your hand and then going in the bucket, that can be bad. You know, whatever's on your hand. Going back in time, some of the people didn't know anything about germs. They didn't care anything about germs. And if you had typhoid Mary milking a cow as your milkmaid,
and that transfers.
and not washing their hands after going to the bathroom themselves, and then just milking the cow, you can imagine that it's not going to be pretty. It's not gonna do a lot of good things for you. Actually, someone has done some tests. I'm not sure who, and they actually put pathogens inside milk in like a little petri dish, and the milk would kill most pathogens. It's amazing. You know,
Like the raw milk would?
the raw milk would kill the pathogen, the bad thing, and that's kind of a neat thing there. But if you put such a glut of junk in the milk, you know, if she pooped right in the thing, you wouldn't want that milk.
No.
It would not be a good thing.
Do you think that any of the, I don't know, sanitation concerns that the average person would have has any effect on why raw milk is illegal in some states? Or, I don't know, I'm just asking.
I have a book that talks about a few of the issues that you're raising, and I'm just going to take information from that book. Basically, the companies, they didn't want to have the shelf life of milk, you know, the way it was. They wanted it to be longer lasting, and the housewives, they didn't want to have that cream line on it, because you have to take the cream off in order to
make the butter.
To make the butter, and they'd rather it was just shot through with the cream and you know, protected that way.
You have a milking student. That's great.
The problem with that came in with homogenization runs every bit of that butter fat through a sieve finer than a human hair, and it makes it where those fat globules, they can't join back together. And when those fat globules are so small, they can bypass your digestive system and go build up around your heart or your arteries, and they call that cholesterol, but it's actually the homogenized butter fat going through there. Now, if the butter fat gets to stay in its right form, you cook it and eat it and whatever you're going to do, it goes through your system right. But if you make it teeny tiny small, it can go build up in people, and it's a kind of a sad deal.
Yeah.
I mean, when you discovered that, when you making a change there?
Yeah. Well, the raw milk, it lasts like 3-4 weeks, right?
You got that hype tail.
So, and what? I'm sorry. What is your first name again?
Richard.
Richard. So, hi, Richard.
Hi.
So, you were telling me all 3 of these cows have their milk is a little bit different.
Yes, yes. We found that over the last couple of years. The dark one here is a Friesian Holstein. Holsteins actually stole the name from the Friesians, and we've had her 2 or 3 years. And her milk is a little less cream, but
The Holstein or the tan one?
The dark one.
Okay, the dark one.
Her milk is a little bit different than the Jersey milk. Which
is basically the one we just milked.
Right. Both of these, the tan one out here is also a Jersey. And of course, that's the richest milk. That's got the greatest amount of butter fat. And I just saw you talking about, Dirk was telling you about homogenization, where they separate out the
milk
the fat, and that I think probably the incidence of heart disease and clogged hearts began at that time when people started doing that. And that's a possibility. I'm not saying it's.
Do you mean like when they started pasteurizing the milk and breaking up those milk fats?
Right. And today you see that the whole marketing system is saying, oh no, you need fats, you need the complete everything to make your.
But you need the raw fats, not the cooked fats.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You need less. Of a lot of things. Anyway,
and all these guys are
all grass-fed milk cows, and we've had them for like 4 years, 5 years, and we got a couple coming on that are well trained, and they're very gentle. These are a little wild because they ran with beef herds, but this is the beginning.
They're all grass-fed, not pumped with any hormones or anything.
No, there's nothing. They just eat.
They just roam and
the
eat.
good grass in here. We're actually a little bit dry this year.
First, second, third, which means this will have the most cream content in it.
This last one.
This last one, and the cream rises to the top. And of course, you can take a close-up look at the milk itself prior to running it through the strainer, and see how you
can see the line.
I mean, but you don't see any hair, or you see maybe a little bit of dust or whatever, but you're not seeing.
Yeah, it's really clean.
Gross pieces of anything. You don't see any straw. You don't see any hay. You don't see any flies. And so on this one here, I'll take and pour it first into this one here, because it's that cream is already rising up to the level of a full jar. Mm-hmm. We'll work on this one.
Is that because this last one is has the most cream?
And so it'll have the most cream in it. Now we've kind of equalized the cream between the ones. And then, actually, I'm going to Rachel Carter jar.
All right, so you put a cheesecloth over top to strain out the.
Band around that, and then pour through. And the cheesecloth gets boiled between uses.
Cool. Look at all that froth.
Yeah.
Yum.
Oh, I used to go ahead and take the last little bowl of milk that I milked out and just drink it. All that froth. It's so good.
It looks heavenly.
But when you hurt your back, you tend to hold off on those extra calories that might really add in.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see here that there's not a whole lot of. There's a few teeny tiny little specks.
Not a whole lot though.
That are in there, but not a lot at all. I mean, she's a clean cow. This side here. be able to see it better.
Yeah, there's not much there.
Just
you have to really look hard.
Right. And so I move it over to a clean spot. Put it on again. And the secondary. It's one of those skills, pouring milk. The first couple times you do it, you
Make a mess.
You can make a mess. No two ways around it. If a rubber band breaks, you make a mess. There's a lot of things that that would make a mess with it. When you're drying the cloths after you boil them, you gotta squeeze all the water out of them and array them on a clean cookie sheet to allow them to dry. If Rebecca, she won't squeeze them out. She thinks it gets them dirty, so she'll just put them on the cookie sheet, and then you try to pour through, and it'll come through a few little areas, and it'll go.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah. It's not easy milking. I don't want to waste the product. I want to get it in the jars, and
yeah.
Please don't do that anymore, honey. When doing the, I use cling wrap to create
like a
difference
seal
between that lid. This lid here is a good plastic lid. It probably doesn't have any smell to it, but it still makes sense to go ahead and put a seal across there so that it can run down the side and make a mess of the jar. Too tall. Too tall. We're just gonna have to dip all of that off there. What a shame.
Heaven forbid.
This one's gonna be the same problem if I want to take that off there. That much extra was put in there. What a shame.
Bessie has delicious milk.
You've never had it till you've had it warm. I'll set you a taste out of that one there. Okay, so it's always best to wipe down that lid if it gets anything on it there. You don't want that encountering the air. And then getting that smell when the milk dries, it can and likewise as the milk level goes down in the jar, you'll see unless you actively keep it taken care of, it'll kind of dry on the edge and it'll impart a flavor to the milk, which no one really wants that. I always condense it down to a smaller size jar. That allows me to utilize the jar for other milks, other ages of milk, and it also makes it less any sort of smell that might be in there. Okay. She's coming. Okay. I gotta be careful putting on the lids because some of my milk customers, like April Jones, she has arthritis in the hands and she can't pop that off.
Yeah.
And I used to crank them on just as tight as I could, thinking, oh, that's the way I got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want it accidentally falling off. And so I had a number of them saying, I can't open your jars. I got to wait till my husband comes home or a neighbor comes over in order to open up the milk. All right, I'll work on that. This one's good. Now Vince, he's a strong guy, so.
Crank it on for him. Give him a little workout. I'm always cool with that.
There you go. You gotta work for your food around here. Like just opening it, like eating a coconut.
Very cool.
Open.
Rolling the hot water and dish soap in
And
there.
the scrubby that I'm using is dedicated only for milk use. And it gets recycled out fairly often.
And we were just saying that usually one spouse isn't as convinced on the milk as the other.
It's weird, but yeah, it's like Richard doesn't drink a whole lot of milk. April drinks the milk, or you know, maybe you'll be more of the milk drinker.
My husband drinks milk by the glassful.
Oh, really?
Like, he loves milk. Because we used to buy milk just for him. But he said, and all he said was he couldn't really taste a huge difference, which is not a,
so then
it's a compliment, if anything.
Then it turns into a economic standpoint.
Yeah.
Because at $5 a gallon, this is higher. Although I did see it at Kroger, the vitamin D, the whole milk was $5.19 a gallon, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad charging for it.
Well, and you're getting butter with it too, so
Exactly.
you're not just
butter.
paying for milk, you're paying for that plus butter, which is what you'd spend at the store anyways if you get a thing of butter and a gallon of milk.
Right. Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, I can actually drink this milk, and if he can't tell the difference, well then, why would we buy two different kinds of milk?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense either. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dirk, for showing us all this.
Yeah. Well,
Super cool.
It's my pleasure. It's a lot of fun to bring people into the mix.